Okay, I'm recording now, and hopefully everything will go okay. So, you start by marking out your chamfers with a template. So for this one I use this template here. I already did one of these, so you can't see how you won't be able to see how I carve this little part in here. I'll have to do a video some other time on that. But anyway, you mark your chamfers, and you just keep kind of marking them as you go along. You do all the chamfers, and then there's an extra one on this end. You got to kind of mark that one out by hand, just by moving the template a little bit. And then once you're done marking them, you grab a combination square and a pencil. My shop's a mess, so excuse me. And you want to come along here and just run a little line kind of at the top of the chamfer so that you don't run one chamfer into the other. And you'll see what I mean when I'm actually carving it. So you make that line there and just roughly estimate a good point between the two chamfers, because a lot of this you're going to freehand. And then same thing here, you're going to come down here and make the same mark on this side and that side, and on this side and that side. And I don't know if you know this little trick about lining up your square with a mark, but put your pencil where you're going to draw the line and then draw your square up to it and then bring your line down. Same thing here, put your pencil there, come down with the line. Put your pencil on the line, move in, come down. Pencil on the line, and come down. Now we're ready to carve. These you don't have to mark because they're just going to end up where they end up. And well, you'll see that there's a lot of carving to do on one of these sticks. So first thing we'll do is we'll clamp in the vise like so. Sorry about that, I got it backwards. No, I don't have it right. No, I did it wrong. Okay, we'll clamp it in the vise. Hopefully you can see that okay. And then we're going to come in with a pull saw. I'm going to cut down to about the chamfer, close to. I got to take my glasses off to see. We're going to cut down close to, but not touching that line for the chamfer. We're going to do multiple ones. Especially in the center, because you'll want them to break out as we carve. Cut the next one there. On my first Vardo, I made these chamfers too deep. Of course, in the long run, it didn't matter that much, because once you get about 200 chamfers cut, and some are leafed and some with color, the sheer numbers tends to negate any errors you made. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to very carefully start this chamfer, just come right in to that point and break them out. And then this one broke the second one out right at the same time, so I'll come around and do this side here. Again, I'm going to pull that out just a little bit. So I can see it better. Get my chisel under it. Okay. If you want to control your cut, put the chisel with the bevel down, and then you can kind of very carefully control it. If you really want to gouge out a lot, put your chisel up. You can come in that way and really gouge out a lot. But right now we're just I just want to break these out. And then we can start coming in fairly heavy. Try and be even on each side of the chamfer. Till you get down to the line. Same here, we're going to come just a little short of that line so that we don't actually run the two chamfers against each other. Break out all our extra wood. Watch our line carefully. And then we'll come back with the chisel bevel down and fine tune that. Have to go back and forth or it'll splinter out. You can see every now and then it'll splinter out a little bit anyway. Anyway, when you get it close, kind of fine tune it, make sure it's a nice even smooth arc. And then this chisel is pretty dull, so I'm not able to get the finish I want with it, and I don't have my sharpening set up fresh so I can sharpen it again. So I'm gonna just leave it dull for this demonstration, and then I'll come back in with a little bit of sandpaper and clean it up. And notice I am coming up short of that line on both sides, and the reason for that is because those templates were made, oh, I don't know, 15 years ago for the other Vardo, and like I said, they're a little bit on the big side. They go a little bit too deep, and I want a little bit more delicate chamfer. So I'm going to take a little bit of sandpaper and just, this is fairly aggressive sandpaper. Now notice here I'm just bringing that butterfly end, that butterfly chamfer. I'm connecting this to that with a nice smooth arc as much as possible. And again, any variations, any bit that's not quite perfect, when you go to pinstripe it, you can, the pinstriping line will kind of connect everything and make it nice again. You can make it real circular, or you can keep the ellipse of the curve real even just with the pinstriping line. Go with a